Hello and welcome to Forechecking with Doug and Nolan. This is a new show here on CUTV where we mostly talk about all things hockey. I'm your host, Doug Glackey, and alongside me is my fellow host, Nolan Beislein. Nolan, how's it going?
You know, Doug, I'm doing really well today. I'm really excited for the rest of the season. The All-Star break is past us. The trade deadline is in a few weeks, and I'm ready for this final push.
That's right. We are past the All-Star break, and now we're getting into trade deadline. Really, you know, a lot of early movement going on before the trade deadline, and I'm pretty excited to see what the deadline holds for us and how things are going to shape up into the stretch run and playoff race.
I could agree with you perfectly, but I mean, I think at first we should at least check out these standings, see how close everybody is.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see some of those standings. All right, here we have the Metropolitan Division. Really competitive division. Really different look this year. The Islanders are currently in first place with 68 points. The Capitals follow with 66 points. The Blue Jackets have 63 points. The Penguins are currently one of the wild card spots in the Eastern Conference with 63 points as well. And then you have your bottom feeders with the Hurricanes at 60 points, the Flyers at 55 points, the Rangers at 54 points, and the Devils at 48 points.
You know, Doug, I really feel like the Metro is probably one of the best, if not the best division out there, honestly. As much improvement as it has gotten, many would think, oh, the Pacific and the Central used to be the reigning. But I really think the Metro, they're the push. I mean, the Atlantic is good, no doubt about it. But the Metro is, I feel, is one of the strongest.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Metro division is probably the strongest division in the NHL. And the Islanders are really throwing everything out of whack this year with being in first place without having their former star, John Tavares. And that may throw everything off. We may end up getting a first-round Penguins-Capitals matchup, which is certainly going to be something.
It's always a matchup, you know. Last year, Kuznetsov on the breakaway winner, you know. It's always great to see it, but like you said, Tavares, you know, him going to the Maple Leafs changed everything. And as you can see, even in the Atlantic standings, that the Maple Leafs are right up there at 69 points. I mean, sure, the Lightning are in first with that 82 points, but the Maple Leafs are really doing well with Tavares for sure. And then you have the Canadiens at 68 points, the Bruins at 66, and even the Sabres. I don't know what really happened to them. They used to be a really hot team, but they kind of fell off, so now down to 59 points. The Panthers at 52, the Red Wings at 49, and the Senators at 45.
Yeah, one thing I really want to talk about is how the Lightning are just running away with the entire Eastern Conference, and they currently own the best record in the NHL, which means they are probably most likely to win the President's Trophy. And they've been getting contributions from all over. You know, they have a very loaded lineup, but for the most part, it's been Nikita Kucherov, Braden Point, and Steven Stamkos running the show there in Tampa.
I could agree with you. I mean, even Vasilevsky, the goaltender for Tampa Bay, you know, he's stealing the show down there, and it's impressive what he's doing.
Yes, it is. All right, now we are going to take a look at the Western Conference with the Central standings. Okay, now we have the Jets leading this division with 71 points, the Predators with 70 points, the Stars with 61 points, the Wild with 57 points, the Blues with 55 points, the Avalanche with 53 points, and the Blackhawks with 53 points as well. This division, and mostly the bottom end of this conference, is just an absolute, you know, insane scenario waiting to happen, because most of these bottom teams are just a few points out of a playoff spot. And not only does that mean that they're all going to be vying for that near 7-8 seed in the playoffs, that means they're going to have high draft lottery odds, and they're going to get a great player to complement their already talented teams next year.
Yeah, I mean, I could perfectly agree with you. I mean, sure, the Central isn't one of the best divisions this year, but they always put up a fight somehow. You know, I don't know how they do it, but they just come playoff time, even like Nashville, for example, if they make the playoffs, they are always a team the favorite just because of the excitement in Nashville. I mean, I would have to agree if you would too.
I do agree with that, Nolan. I mean, I think we all know the story of what happened in 2017. They came in as the 8th seed, knocked off the #1 seed in the Blackhawks, and then they just ran the table and ran into a really hot Penguins team as they went back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been, yeah, for sure. And on that note, let's take a look at the Pacific Division.
Yeah, I mean, the Pacific, it's, you know, like we said for the Central, it is really close in those bottom 5 to 6 teams from both divisions, and it's very crazy. But the Flames are just right out in front with 73 points. And, you know, for me, they're one of the most impressive teams. They're a young team, young goalies, other than Mike Smith. They're just impressing me this season. Then we have the Sharks at 71, the Knights with 66, the Canucks at 55, Oilers at 53, the Coyotes at 51, the Ducks at 51, and the Kings at 50. You know, this division is just, some of these teams you would think they would be up there, like the Ducks and the Kings, and, you know, they're just having this rough season. So.
Yeah, I feel like that's just a flip-flop in age now, Nolan. I feel like both those teams are starting to get old, and a lot of their core players are into their mid to late 30s, and, you know, things are just starting to slow down there. One thing I did want to note, though, is about the Flames. They lead the league. They have 5 players with 50-plus points already this season, and that's just absolutely insane. How you can get contributions from 5 different guys in your lineup to that extent.
I mean, that's almost 2 solid lines right there. And I mean, you know, you think you put the top 6 and 5 of them have 50-plus points, let's say. That's pretty impressive. You know, there's not many teams that are going to be able to do much. And you saw that the other night whenever the Flames played the Capitals. You know, you had all types of offensive power from all over the ice. And, you know, I don't know how you stop that.
Yeah, that was certainly one heck of a game. Really, just a lot of talent all around in that game. And on that note, I believe we are going to take a commercial break.
Are you a visual storyteller? The Cal Times and CUTV is looking for students with an interest in expanding their skills in photography and videography. We call it visual journalism, and we're here to offer you opportunities to learn how to shoot and edit from a wide range of events at California University of Pennsylvania. Our focus is on local coverage of sports and news events from campus and around the region. We provide on-site training as we help you develop your skills as a visual multimedia storyteller for the Cal Times newspaper and CUTV News Center. To learn more about visual journalism opportunities and join our team, visit our media production facility in the Natali Student Center or email the Cal Times at caltimes@calu.edu.
Hello, and welcome back to Forechecking with Doug and Nolan. I'm your host, Doug Galacki, and alongside me again is Nolan Beislein. And right now, we are going to discuss why we're wearing hockey jerseys. Obviously, this is kind of a weird friendship, if you will. I'm a Pens fan, he's a Caps fan. So let's just explain, like, Nolan, why did you want to become a Caps fan? I need to know.
I mean, so I'm from the central Pennsylvania area, and the minor league team for the Washington Capitals is the Hershey Bears. So, I mean, with the great development that the Bears do for the Caps, that's just kind of how I fell in love with the Capitals. And, I mean, I don't think it's a mistake. I mean, they won a Stanley Cup. So, I mean, that's my reasoning. What's your reasoning, Doug?
Well, I've been a Penguins fan for years. I've had season tickets since they drafted Sidney Crosby, and I go to a lot of games. You know, I've been to a Stanley Cup game, went to Game 1 in 2016. Absolutely insane experience, but really that's why I'm a Pens fan, is because my family has gotten me into it, and it's just something that I inherited and kind of became obsessed with along the way. Now we are going to discuss some trade rumors, because it's our favorite time of the year, Nolan. You and I love the trade deadline. We never really stop talking about it, so let's get into it.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, you know, there's lots of trades going to happen, but I mean, first, I think you want to talk about Brassard, I think.
I really am itching to talk about Derick Brassard. All right, Derick Brassard has played 41 games this season. He had 9 goals, 7 assists for 16 points. That is before he was traded by the Pittsburgh Penguins to the Florida Panthers. And as of right now, the Penguins did indeed trade Brassard to the Panthers. They got Jared McCann and Nick Bjugstad in return, who I believe both will have quite an impact down the stretch for the Pens. But it does look like the Florida Panthers are looking to flip Brassard again, as they are a non-contending team looking to recoup some assets and some cap space in an effort to chase some big free agent players in the offseason. Among those interested are the Columbus Blue Jackets, the San Jose Sharks, and the Winnipeg Jets. Now, I personally believe that Brassard would end up in Columbus if they do indeed end up moving Brassard, because there's been quite an attachment between Derick Brassard and the Columbus Blue Jackets for quite a while now. And it does kind of make sense to me, as the Panthers are looking at Jackets stars SERGEI BOBROVSKY and Artemi Panarin.
Yeah, I mean, I would totally have to agree. You know, I just don't feel as though Brassard's the right fit for Florida, and I think he could have a better fit somewhere else, honestly. But you know who else may be traded at this deadline? I think Andre Burakovsky may be traded at this deadline. Andre Burakovsky has played 46 games this year. He only has 6 goals and 6 assists for 12 points, and he's a -5, which is just ungodful for Burakovsky. But then again, as you can see, he's only played 46 games. We're up around that 50 to 60 games, and as you can tell, Coach Reardon has benched Andre Burakovsky for lack of ice time or not producing, and that's one of the main reasons. And so I feel as though the interested teams for him are either the Avalanche or the Stars. Sorry about that. But just because of his play style, I mean, Burakovsky is a good player. I saw him in Hershey play 2 games, and he at least had a point in each of those games. And I feel as though that he has that speed and stuff that he should be playing on a daily basis wherever he's playing. If he's playing Colorado, Dallas, or even, you know, let's say Pittsburgh, for instance, he would probably figure out how to fit up into that lineup just with the speed that he has. I mean, he's worth a $3 million salary cap, so I mean, it's kind of something big, but if I was the Capitals, I would for sure be trying to either get high draft picks or try to get somebody in that range to fill his spot, for sure.
I agree with you there, Nolan. You know, he is a very talented winger. Seems like he's fallen out of favor a bit with Coach Reardon. Kind of reminds me of the Daniel Sprong situation in Pittsburgh earlier in the season. Talented young player, a lot of skill, a lot of speed, and just could not crack that lineup. But I feel like the Avalanche would be the best team suited for Burakovsky, because they're really lacking depth scoring, and Burakovsky would provide just that.
Yeah, I feel as though the same, because, you know, they have that top 3 pairing with Rantanen, McKinnon, and Landeskog, and that's about it. So I feel as though if they bring in Burakovsky, that will for sure help him out on either that second or third line. But you know, Bobrovsky, he's a big player.
Yes, Sergei Bobrovsky is a big player. Here's some of his stats. He's played in 36 games this season, owns a 19-16-1 record, has a goals against average of .301, which is pretty bad, and a save percentage of .901 with 2 shutouts. There's only one team that is stated publicly interested in Bobrovsky, and that is the Florida Panthers, who are apparently trying to trade for either him or Artemi Panarin at this deadline in an effort to sign them to an 8-year contract extension before they hit free agency on July 1st.
That's for sure. I would feel as though the goal for the Panthers, because they have Luongo and Reimer, and that's not going to help you much, especially with Luongo soon retiring. And Bobrovsky, just with that big contract, that $7.5 million contract, he's just, Columbus isn't the right fit for him anymore. And I feel as though Columbus trades Bobrovsky, Korpisalo will be able to develop his game and show what he's worth. I mean, he's played in plenty of the games this season. I'm pretty sure he has a winning record. And, you know, with Bobrovsky going to Florida, it'll be a new start for him. And then I feel as though in the next coming years, if he goes there or Panarin, they could be a contender.
That's right, Nolan. You know, if they were to move on from Sergei Bobrovsky, Joonas Korpisalo would definitely be ready to take on a starting role. And I feel like if you're the Panthers, in any trade to get Bobrovsky, you're trying to get them to take James Reimer. Absolutely. You have to take James Reimer. He's a $3.4 million cap hit for the next few years, and he really doesn't live up to that salary.
Yeah, I mean, Reimer is just one of those guys that can come in backup duty, almost like a Philip Grubauer, but, you know, it's about it.
Yeah, he's really just a fringe goalie in anything but that. Now we're going to discuss whether or not the Flyers could be thinking about trading Wayne Simmonds.
Yeah, Wayne Simmonds has 52 games this season. He has 16 goals, 8 assists, and 24 points already, and he's a -13. And the possible teams interested, it's a very large list. Nashville, Toronto, Tampa Bay, and Boston. And in my opinion, almost any team I feel as though, if Simmonds went there, he would for sure help out no matter what. And if he would get traded to Nashville, he'd be reunited with his former coach, Coach Peter Laviolette. And if he went to Tampa, they would probably have the best 9 in the league. No doubt about it, Doug.
Yeah, I feel like if Wayne Simmonds were to go to Tampa Bay, they would, without a doubt, have the best top 9 forward group in the NHL and possibly in league history, as that top 9 would be loaded with the likes of Nikita Kucherov, Steven Stamkos, Braden Point, and Wayne Simmonds.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. I feel as though if they do make a trade, they probably need to include somebody like a Yuri Laterra or a Dale Weiss. Both of these players are playing in the AHL right now, and that's not what the Flyers want to be doing, especially paying them those large type of contracts like that. They shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know that the Flyers kind of went into like a bit of a rebuild mode before young goaltender Carter Hart came in and really kind of lit up the world, as the Flyers have been on quite a good stretch since Hart's call-up from Lehigh Valley. But on that note, we'll be back after the break.
Mrs. and Mrs. Jimmy at the debut.
I came from 5 generations of teachers. Losing my job was the bottom falling out of my world.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
a student athlete in college, I first got involved with the NCAA at the national level. It was through the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, SAC, gave me an opportunity to advocate on behalf of all student athletes, to affect change and to make an impact. The NCAA is giving the student athlete a platform to voice their concerns and to be able to advocate for what's going to affect their well-being. The policies that are being put in place are speaking towards academics, they're speaking towards well-being, they're speaking towards fairness, creating a culture so that the student athletes have the best experiences possible.
Hello and welcome back to Forechecking with Doug and Nolan. As always, I'm Doug Glackey and he's Nolan Beislein, and right now we're going to get into some Penguins and Capitals talk. We're going to start off with the Penguins. I have some things to say about Matt Murray's current injury status and how the lineup might look whenever everybody is healthy. But first things first, Matt Murray is really kind of developed these injury-prone issues. He has another upper body injury. Luckily, it's not a concussion, but he's been out for the past few days. And as of right now, it's been, Casey DeSmith's been running the show for the Penguins in goal, and he's been doing okay. I mean, they just lost last night 3-2 to Florida in overtime, but if they're going to even make anything remotely close to a deep playoff run, they need Murray healthy and in net.
Yeah, I mean, I would totally have to agree with you. I mean, Murray's one of those goalies that when he's healthy and he's good. But whenever he gets hurt, it's almost once a month you hear about Matt Murray getting hurt if it's an upper body. But, I mean, that could be for any goalie. But it seems like anytime I'm checking Twitter and Penguins, it's always Matt Murray's out, upper body. And it's sad to hear. It's almost like a Michael Neuvirth.
Yeah, Michael Neuvirth was once a great goalie for the Capitals. He started off, had a great start to his career, and then had a fair share of injuries, and then started to develop back into a backups role as of late, playing last year with the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, I would totally have to agree with you. He for sure had his fair taste of teams, I guess you could say. And I mean, now he's with the Flyers, and hopefully he becomes healthy, because when he's healthy and he's good, he's not a bad goalie. No,
not at all. And on that note, I'm going to start to discuss what the Penguins lineup could look like when everybody is healthy. As you might know, Nolan, the Penguins are very close to getting back forwards Evgeny Malkin and Zach Aston-Reese, and the well-awaited return of defenseman Justin Schultz.
Yeah, I would totally have to agree with you. I mean, these three key players in their lineup, Malkin, no doubt about it, one of the best in the league, and Schultz there in the back end, for sure, will probably be on that top pairing. And even Zach Aston-Reese, he's one of those physical type of guys that doesn't mind to get dirty. And I feel as though that they are really going to make a surge, especially towards any of these other Metro teams, whenever these three get back.
Yeah, absolutely. Aston-Reese is one of those very important players who goes into that bottom six role and provides the proper combination of skill and grit. But anyways, I was going to say, I believe that the Penguins lineup will go as follows. Your top line would be Jake Gensel, Sidney Crosby, and newest Penguins forward, Nick Bjugstad. Your second line would consist of Tanner Pearson, Evgeny Malkin, and Patrick Hornquist. Your third line would be Brian Rust, Jared McCann, and Phil Kessel. And your fourth line would be Dominic Simone, Teddy Bluger, and Zach Aston-Reese. Now, the big thing that comes out of that is that I believe that Matt Cullen will be a healthy scratch for most of the rest of this stretch run and into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Cullen's just one of those type of guys that you can at least put him in for a night-to-night basis if you need to due to injury or something. And when he scores, he has those crucial goals every so often. But I just can't see the Penguins playing him into the playoffs if they make a deep run. It's just the game is speed now, and as Cullen, the age of 41, he's not going to be as fast as a Connor McDavid out there. So,
yeah, that's right. Matt Cullen is known for his very clutch goals, especially his ability to score shorthanded goals. But I just believe that it's time for the Penguins to commit to Teddy Bluger, very young forward, scored 2 NHL goals on his first 2 NHL shots, really feel like he's going to be a key player for them in that bottom six going forward.
Yeah, I mean, from watching Teddy Bluger and Wilkes-Barre play against Hershey all the time, he was always a threat, no doubt about it. So hopefully he gets in the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're going to go back to discussing the end of the DERICK BRASSARD saga in Pittsburgh. I was reading something this morning that said, it was an article from The Athletic, and the writer said that as soon as the Penguins acquired DERICK BRASSARD from the Ottawa Senators, he got a text from an unidentified NHL agent who said he's not going to fit in Pittsburgh because he needs constant gratification as to whether or not he's good. Like, Brassard needs to know that he's good, and as long as Mike Sullivan's the head coach of the Penguins, you're never going to get that.
Yeah, I mean, I had no clue about that until now, but I mean, he had his days, you know, for sure he had some games where he was better, but Pittsburgh just seemed like he was just kind of plugged in there, and they had to do something, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like he didn't really make an impact. He was kind of just like a guy. You know, he was just kind of just another part of the puzzle. Really was consistently complaining about not getting top 6 minutes to the point that they would have him play on a line with Jake Gensel and Sidney Crosby on the right wing, and it was, on those nights, it was really just a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally agree. I mean, it's all about line combinations. I mean, sure, it would have been nice to see him come to the Capitals, for sure, add another center, but, you know, you got to do what you got to do, and we'll see if Florida is the home for him. If not, maybe the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, we'll see. Now we're going to get into some Capitals talk. I believe Nolan has some stuff for us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So first we're going to talk about the latest Capitals losing streak. I mean, the Caps were on a brutal 8-game losing streak, and it was not pretty, Doug, at all.
No, it wasn't. I saw a tweet that whenever they finally won, they hadn't won a game in about maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was way before the All-Star break, and I mean, I feel as though they needed that All-Star break, no doubt about it. Like any other team, it allowed them to recoup, and especially they had the week off after the All-Star break, so it gave players time to rest up, and it allowed for everybody to get mentally in the game for this final push.
Yeah, I feel like they really needed that All-Star break, need that time to heal their bodies, both mentally, you know, heal mentally and physically, get some time with the family, just kind of like unplug from the grind of the NHL, recharge the batteries a bit, and come back and try and perform well in the stretch run.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But even Coach Todd Reirden, you know, after that losing streak, he's not afraid to bench players. And as I was telling you earlier this morning, he benched 2 of the top players, Evgeny Kuznetsov and Michael Kempny, during the game due to penalties. And Reirden is not about penalties, and that's what cost Capitals the games, honestly. These penalties.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised with how many penalties they've taken recently, but I was even more surprised with the fact that Coach Reirden benched Evgeny Kuznetsov. Like, he's one of your top forwards. I don't think that you should be benching him. You know, you really don't see that often in Pittsburgh. Like, you don't see Crosby or Malkin getting benched. I think the most popular player you'd see get benched from time to time would probably be a Jake Gensel, but even then, he's kind of just like a small part of the puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, I could perfectly agree with you. I mean, I don't know, you know, maybe what he was thinking, but, you know, that's all we can do. And, you know, as we get to the end of the show, I think that we had a good first show, Doug.
Yeah, I think it was a real solid first show. Really kind of, you know, broke the ice, if you will. You know, really kind of got our feet wet and really think we did well with talking hockey here. I think we kind of just focused on what we were doing and just kind of sat here, made it look natural, just kept talking hockey.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun first show, and hopefully we'll be back after the trade deadline to talk about trades.
Yeah, I'm thinking we'll either be back before a week or so before the trade deadline or maybe a week after the trade deadline.
For sure.
We shall see, but I think it was a great show. Thank you to everybody who's might watch this. You know, this has been Forechecking with Doug and Nolan. One final time, I'm your host, Doug Glackey, and he is my fellow host, Nolan Beislein. Thank you for taking time out of your day to talk hockey with me, Nolan.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun, and I'm looking forward to the next time.
All right, sounds good.